until you have had the taste of finishing, you will not respect yourself. Until something is done, come hell or high water, tears and struggles and pain, and you go through it anyway, and you continue to fight on no matter the circumstances. After a while, something begins to wither inside of you.
You're going to have such a period in your life where it seems like it's not working. You're going to have a lot of trials and challenges, and everybody has a turn back moment. Where the direction you're going, you will have to make a decision to keep going or you turn back.
And what we have got to do is know there's a power in you that regardless of what happens to you, you can stand up inside of yourself. I think that's what the poet meant when he says, out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there may be for my unconquerable soul. You have an unconquerable soul.
See, some people quit because things are out of control. The moment you get in something where you don't get your way, or it's bad conditions or bad circumstances, the first thing the immature mind says is, this is ridiculous, I quit. I never will forget, I had a friend of mine who was much older than me, who was going through a real tough time in his marriage. I told him, you ought to get out. I watched him suffer so bad, I thought you ought to quit. He was so lonely that he got a dog and named it Friend. And I watched him take so many blows in his heart, in his masculinity, that it was so hard to watch. I wanted him to divorce her so I didn't have to see it. He stayed, and things got worse. And then sickness came in, and then it got really bad. And he stuck it out to the end. I mean, to the end. And I was at the funeral, and I remember thinking, you finished. You went all the way to the end. Better and worse, and sickness and health. You went through all of that stuff. It was amazing to see somebody who finished. The danger of living a life of incompletes. Nobody can count on you to stay. Forget winning. To stay. You don't have to be a superhero. To stick it out. To endure. They used to come in my office and say, I'm leaving him because he's beating me. I'm leaving him because he's homicidal. Now they come in my office, they say, I'm leaving because I'm not happy. Who told you you was gonna be happy? Who do you know in your life that is happy all the time? To the person who keeps quitting, you have to live with that infection that you carry, that propensity to never finish. Are there any fighters in here? I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to love. I fought to get out the bed. I fought with my fears, my anxieties, my insecurities. I fought with haters, backbiters, and betrayers. And many times I laid in the bed, I couldn't go to sleep because I was fighting with myself. I fought. I fought a good fight. You might not have seen it. You saw the glamour. But let me show you what you didn't see. I fought to do that. I lost a lot of stuff. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of courage. I lost a lot of money. Down on my knees, I was still believing. Lonely, I was believing. Betrayed, I was. Touch 3 people and tell them, keep the faith, keep the faith. If you lose a job, keep the faith. If you bury your child, keep the faith. If you have to move in with your mama, keep the faith. If you have to catch the bus, keep the faith. If you get sick, keep the faith. If you got heart trouble, keep the faith. You might not get a new heart, but you got to keep your faith.
Just keep walking, keep praising, keep thanking. That's when the miracle is going to take place. You can't go by what you see, go by what God promised you. My business is still slow. Keep on walking. These people at work are still not treating me right. Keep on walking. God sees your obedience. He hears you praising when you could be complaining. He sees you stretching when you could be shrinking back. As you keep walking, you're going to see God show out in your life. When you prove to God that you're going to do the right thing even when it's hard, then you're going to see God do awesome things in your life. Don't talk yourself out of what you know God is telling you to do. Sometimes it seems ordinary. You're asking God to promote you. He's saying, get to work on time. You're asking God for healing. He's saying, eat healthier, exercise, get more sleep. It doesn't have to make sense. That's what faith is all about. Faith makes room for provision. You can't wait till it happens. You have to make room for it when you don't see any sign of it. You have to talk like it's on the way. Think like it's on the way. Are you missing your miracle because you're reasoning everything out? You're looking at it all in the natural. God is supernatural. After Moses died, God raised up Joshua to lead the Israelites. The earlier generation never made it into the promised land. Now the children of that generation had grown up. They were headed to the promised land, but they had to cross the Jordan River. The problem was, it was the rainy season, and the Jordan was in flood stage, with violent currents rushing down from the melting snow. Joshua was familiar with this type of scene. He was there when Moses held up his staff and the Red Sea parted. When these 2 million people came to the Jordan River and saw how swollen it was, and they didn't want to have anything to do with it. I can imagine Joshua did like his mentor Moses. He held up his rod and said, Lord, please let these waters part. But nothing happened. God promised Joshua, as I was with Moses, I will be with you. He didn't say, I'm going to do for you everything I did for Moses. There's a distinct calling on your life. You don't have to copy someone else, try to be what they are. Walk in your own anointing. Walk in your own calling. Joshua had to make a decision. Are we going to turn around and go back, or are we going to keep walking? Joshua's attitude was, we've come too far to stop now. Instead of turning back, he told all the people, let's keep walking. I can hear them say, excuse me, Joshua, do you not see there's a violent, raging river? There's nowhere to go. Joshua acted like he didn't hear them. There will always be people that try to convince you to turn back. You have to do like Joshua and have a made-up mind. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to become all I was created to be. They looked back at Joshua one last time, thinking surely he's going to retreat now. Joshua answered with 3 simple words, keep on walking. The scripture says, when their feet got wet, suddenly the waters begin to push back. Miracles happen when there's obedience. God doesn't give us all the details. May not happen like you've seen happen with your family. Like Joshua, every circumstance may say, it's not going to turn around. Go back. You'll never get well. It would have happened by now. Don't believe those lies. Keep walking.
You will become whatever you cultivate. Whatever you feed, that's what's going to grow in your life. I'm saved, but I gotta change my diet. I'm saved, but I gotta change who influences me, who speaks into my life, who feeds my mind, who determines what looks good on me, who determines what I can do and who I am. What's wrong with you is all those people who knew you win, because if they knew you win, they'll hold you to back then. I gotta go.
Many people give up on the 1-yard line. See, life is not just that simple. It's not that cut and dry. And that's why most people never realize their personal greatness, because they're casual about life. And when you are casual about life, you will end up a casualty.
You can't get out of something that you're not willing to put into it. You have to put your everything, your mind, your energy, your effort, your discipline. Nothing is going to jump out the fire if you don't throw something in there. It's not going to happen. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. You do it because you're supposed to.
Try your best to trust God. Trust God's timing. And when he is sending you bold signs and wonders, use those as confirmation. When God is trying to steer you in a particular direction, it's like little pieces of popcorn down a hallway. And at some point, you're going to get to that whole bucket.
Love yourself. Make caring for you the highest priority in your life. Look out for what truly satisfies you. We're not taught to look out for ourselves. We're not taught to take care of ourselves, to become sensitive to our wants, our desires. So make a conscious effort. Make you number one priority. Your health is more important than your family and any and everybody. Because if you don't have your health, you can't serve anybody. Don't neglect yourself.
Greatness takes tremendous focus. It takes decisions that you make, and you can't always have everybody approving of what you know you're supposed to do. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll do great in life. You cannot have the approval of everyone and be great. You're always going to live your life at the lowest common denominator of your friends if you don't like it.
When you receive the message, when you receive the confirmations that these people that are around you are sucking you dry. So how could you have any love left inside of your heart to take care of your kids or your family when you got these people around you that are sucking you dry? I got nothing left. I'm going down. I'm melting.
I become confident when I get the right view of other people and I get the right view of myself. It's amazing, right? You ever notice that arrogance requires advertising, but confidence speaks for itself? In fact, insecurity, cynicism, and arrogance, they're all loud. But confidence doesn't even have to speak, because confidence isn't based on your words. Confidence is an action. It's an ability to step into the moment and say, I'm not backing down. I'm not quitting. I got my confidence back and I can fulfill.
Why are you living a life to impress them? Why are you placing value on what they think? Doing all these things to impress them. Why? I'll tell you something right now, man. You need to place value on the people who love you at your worst. Because those are the people who deserve to be there when you're at your best.
Success is all about building relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Some people might not step up when you ask them for help. But guess what? The worst thing can happen to you if somebody refuses you. You didn't have it anyway. Ask people. You never know. Suppose they say yes. That could be the turning factor.
You will travel in the direction of your thinking. If you think down, you will go down. If you think up, you will come up. The way you think about your situation determines your reality. The way you think about your family determines your reality. The way you think about yourself. You're not being hurt by the way people think about you. Many of those people are a reflection of how you think about you. If you think about yourself a certain way, you will attract people who think about you a certain way. And you will expel from your life people who do not line up with how you think about yourself. The mind then becomes the battleground. The mind, Satan is always trying to do battle to take over your mind with warfare. Some of you is fighting your thoughts right now.
Despise not the day of small beginnings. And so many people say, when I get a big break, when a big door opens, when somebody notices me. But that is not the key to success. The key to success is to start where you are. Right where you are. Not when things get better, but start where you are.
The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all, changing loyalties and shifting frequently from one commitment to another, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships and unfulfilled promises, all because of a discipline that was either non-existent or imposed so infrequently that it was ineffective.
Most of us are worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream. See, at the gym, you'd never think, oh, I'm going through some pain and discomfort. This must be a sign I shouldn't be at the gym. You'd never think that. You have to break it down, suffer and sacrifice for it to grow.
When you need motivation yourself, don't look for someone to scream and yell. Don't look for someone else to give you motivation. Look at yourself and remind yourself.
Discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers.
What are your expectations? What do you expect to get from life? What do you expect to get from your relationships? What is your ideal day? What is it that you expect from this journey that you're involved in? People that have a strong sense of self-approval, they have high expectations for themselves and from others.
I must be great. I'm pretty. I must be great. I have this. Validation that comes from stuff is never God. I'm really rubbing the grain. Y'all with me? Are you still with me? You can't wear a watch until who made it? You step on the runway. What are you wearing? You got everybody's name on you but your own.
So no one is better or less when it comes to time and change. You become what you are by how you use your 24.
You have no idea how strong you are. You're not in this thing, life, by yourself. But one of the things that I know about this thing called life, recognize what had happened, the role that I played in it. I had to keep it moving. Got to keep it moving.
Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind.
You have built-in greatness. You have built-in power to handle whatever life throws at you. And life is going to be throwing a lot of stuff. Nobody's going to be spared. That's why Viktor Frankl called it unavoidable suffering. But suffering is a choice, because you can suffer or you can choose to do whatever you need to do to overcome whatever you are stuck in right now.
Never underestimate the power of influence and associations, and never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline. Sleep late, show up late. Waiting is always easier than acting. Imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to make our bed in the morning. Wouldn't it be fascinating if we didn't have to do these things? What do you suppose would become of us? You're right, not much.
One of the great distractions of chasing our dreams is this thing that goes off in our head as we're negotiating the price we're paying. Is it getting too high? Is it too much? And you'll have people in your ear, it's too big a sacrifice. You're going through too much. It distracts all your focus. You can't be executing and negotiating simultaneously. So negotiate it now. Negotiate it with me now. What are you willing to pay? For me, when I'm after something big, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll sacrifice everything else.
Greatness is not income. On the other hand, poverty is equated to greatness in a lot of people, that if they have nothing, they must be great. And neither one is true. You're not great because you're poor. You're not great because you're rich. Your greatness is not based upon your income.
As ye sow, so shall ye reap. It's the realization that your limitations are self-imposed and that the opportunities for you today are enormous beyond belief. To use all your courage to force your...
If you listen at discouragement, it will cause you to make bad decisions. It will cause you to think that life is not worth living. And secretly, behind the facade of a smile and a good morning and a praise you, Lord, and a how are you, you will wonder if you're ever going to get out of what you're into.
One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life. And when we begin to understand and know that, accepting that reality, that we will never ever have things just on an even keel all the time, that you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. Anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships, the children are acting normal, business is successful. Anybody could be positive then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. See, but the real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. Adversity introduces a man to himself or a woman. How you handle it, that's where the growth takes place.
Most of y'all have visions and ideas that are sent to you, and you're trying to explain it to other people, and because they were never sent the vision, most of y'all say, well, maybe it's not meant to be. That was something that God sent you. That was your vision, your idea. It's not his or not hers. So what ends up happening is your family, your friends, they end up talking you out of your individual experience that you have with God.
I think that among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. And if you've already failed, you don't want to fail again, the pain of that. The fear of loss is another thing. Because many times when we do those things that we know we need to do, we feel that we might lose somebody. Many of us don't act because we want other people's approval, and that's not possible. Many of us don't do the things that we want to do and don't act because of lack of self-confidence. We don't believe enough in ourselves.
Watch out for we's, because people will control you with a we, and you will miss your opportunity trying to be loyal to the we, and all of a sudden, in order to fit in your sociological environment, you passed up the promotion, you passed up the position that you wanted to take because you want the people you're sitting beside to like you and accept you.
The little decisions that you make, they matter. They add up, and you have to connect those dots. Otherwise, you don't know where you're going to end up. And it might be bad.
I just beat me. This ain't about nobody else. I just beat me. If I can keep beating myself, pause, if I can keep doing that, then that means that I'm in a battle with the only person that I really want and beat, and that's me. I don't care about anybody else. I have no worry or gripe about the next man or woman's journey. That's not what I'm up against. If I can continue to outdo me from the day before, then I'm ahead.
All the rearview mirror does is allows you to see what you've passed and to prevent what you've passed from coming up on you again. The windshield is your future. It's where you're going. It's where you're headed. I hope you all picked up this today. And think about that, how that affects your life.
Don't dilute the vision and don't pollute it with how you want it. Don't weaken it by diluting it. Don't pollute it by adding to it. Some of the people you're trying to straighten out, they're not going to ever be straightened out. They're chickens when you're supposed to be sailing with the eagles. And that chicken with all that gawking and flapping ain't going to never fly. And you just chasing behind something that's not going to ever jump over 4 feet in the air. You could have been soaring with eagles and you're fooling with them chickens. They're chickens. Feed them and keep on walking.
Enlightened self-interest needs to be educated. I will learn that life is not just the passing of time. I will learn that life is the collection of experiences, highs and lows, laughter and tears. You must decide to act. You must have the discipline to act. One discipline affects another discipline. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone.
If you're always seeking a certain status to validate who you are, you're never going to have peace. You can't climb up to find yourself. You have to find yourself so you can climb up. So you can be who you are before anybody knows who you are.
What we wish we had done is the voice of regret, speaking in a sorrowful tone at a time when there is no going back. This is regret.
Why do we live our life to be validated so much by strangers? Why do we let these people dictate how we feel about ourselves? Our self-esteem, our worth depends on if they like it or not. Who cares? Those people ain't gonna be there when times get hard. Those people don't even like you. Half of them don't. Those people don't really care about you.
When you're about to make those extreme jumps and leaps, it's always going to be your friends and your family. They will be the first ones to try and talk you out of what God has put on your heart to do.
I don't know what kind of odds are against you today, physically, financially. I don't know what kind of storm has come or trying to come into your life. If you wait too long to decide what you're going to do with your life, you'll find out that you've already done it. You have to learn to start where you are. Big doors swing on little hinges.
When you start renaming it and you start reframing it and you choose to remain in it, what happens is you produce this word. It's called resiliency. The righteous man, he falls 7 times, but he gets back up. I'm choosing today to get back up, to remain in the grind.
We all have these tough moments in life. And see, they can make you or they can break you. Come on now. Come on, bring it. Come on now. I had to replace fearfulness with being fearless and take the initiative to do something else with my life.
Greatness is not inherited. It's not the result of birth, in other words. You can be born high and live low. Or you can be born low, but you can still live high. Your greatness is not determined by your pedigree or the family that you were born into. Your parents can be great and you can be a dummy.
The key to your future is the successful management of time and change. You can't stop time, so all you can do with them is manage them. And you become what you are based on how you manage both of them.
Every time you learn something new, you push something old out of your brain. See, a lot of people don't want to learn now, and that's okay. That's none of your business, none of my business. But if you're one of those like me, hungry, people that are hungry,
also equates to a non-existence of a great life. And so embrace the fact that you're going to have to sacrifice and suffer to some extent. Once you've embraced that it's going to happen, it's almost not that bad. It's kind of like those of you that are fit. You've sort of accepted that before you go to the gym and get there, you're going to have to suffer. And we go anyway. It becomes a habit.
It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable that only long-term disciplined activity can change. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically.
If it does not measure up to my expectations, I'm not going to invest my time. I don't have the luxury to waste time. I'm expecting some great things from life. So examine your expectations versus your wishes. Some people wish they could do better, but some people expect to do better. Where are you on that?
Time is an amazing power. Every day, week, month, or year is a gift given to us by God to complete a task.
The human mind isn't used merely because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big important ones. Decide now. What is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you ever make in your entire life.
oh, when you give as much time and energy to your dream, to this new vision of yourself, I'll give you all your eyes can see. When you give as much time and energy to what you see, that creates the opening for miracles to show up in your life.
Do you want to be an outstanding salesman, a better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company, in your community? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind, care for it, work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality.
Dream chasing isn't for the serious, it's for the sincere. And the difference between being serious and being sincere is that serious people have a can-do attitude. Sincere people have a must-do attitude. That's how dreams become reality. They become a must. My children must survive. My life must change.
Now, if knowledge is power, if knowledge is the forerunner to success, then why do we fall short of our objectives? Do we find ourselves aimlessly wandering, settling for a life of existence rather than a life of substance? There may be many answers to this question. Fundamental answer is the absence of discipline.
Motivate doesn't mean to yell and scream and encourage. To motivate actually means to provide a motive, a reason why.
Picture yourself in your mind's eye as having already achieved this goal. See yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've reached your goal.
You know, what would you want from your friendships? What would you want from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of your job? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health, and maybe also your drug and alcohol use?
Typically, discouragement strikes at the midpoint of a project. Halfway up the mountain, you go, I still got to get to the top, and then I got to get all the way back. We get discouraged when something takes longer than I expected.
Anticipation is the ultimate advantage. Winners, leaders anticipate, losers react. The reason you get beat is you don't know where things are happening, so you're reacting. Reaction is always stressful. And yet so much of our life is predictable if we just were to study it, not be caught up in our day-to-day. It's predictable the challenges you're going to have in your relationships or with your kids or with your body. These are predictable. And if you were to anticipate these things and put a strategy in place, you could take it all out and have the quality of life that you deserve. Those that anticipate, those that lead, and then there's those that follow. The followers are the reactionaries.
The system we live in and contribute to is designed to make the easiest things in life the most unprofitable. Our world is and always will be a constant battle between the life of ease and its momentary rewards and a life of discipline. Each has its own price, the price of discipline or the price of regret. We will pay one or the other.
Somebody said there is some good in the worst of us and some bad in the best of us. I want you to become involved in an active process to get some clutter out of your life. Start working on it. I'm going home tonight to clean my closets. Let's go home. Let that be our task this week.
Need a little pick-me-up today? Welcome to the new Fresh Motivation app, where you'll find daily motivation, daily quotes. Listen to your favorite speeches in the background or with a black screen, so nothing interrupts your motivational moment, where you can create your personal profile, create playlists of your favorite speeches and quotes, add personal notes, and start setting goals. Fresh Motivation, the home of motivation. Get it now for free on Google Play.